The person walking around in Mexico's most secure prison is not an ordinary man, but rather the world's biggest and most dangerous drug smuggler, El Chapo. Special CCTV cameras have been installed in his cell, allowing him to be monitored around the clock. His cell has neither a skylight nor a window, only a shower area built in one corner. The interesting thing is that despite all this security and surveillance, El Chapo walks towards the shower area and then is no longer visible to the security staff. Half an hour later, when they became suspicious, they entered the cell, but the world's biggest drug smuggler had already escaped. So from where and how did he escape? Let's take a look at El Chapo's life and his escape. Born in 1957 in the small Mexican town of Badiraguato, El Chapo's real name is Joaquin Guzman, but later he gave himself the name El Chapo. His habit of drug trading was inherited. His father, who was himself a small-time drug dealer, kicked El Chapo out of the house at a young age. El Chapo had no means of livelihood, and even after searching when he couldn't find anything, he too started selling drugs. At just 15 years old, he began growing drugs himself. He would choose a secluded area for himself and start cultivating marijuana there. Gradually, his drug trading grew so much that the major drug dealers of Mexico wanted to recruit him into their gangs. In the 1970s, he joined a drug trading gang called El Güero Palma. In this gang, he would handle He used to oversee the smuggling, and he was so strict in his work that whenever a delivery was late or there was even the slightest mistake, he would kill the dealer. In the 1980s, he joined the gang of the most famous drug dealer of that time, El Padrino Gallardo. This gang was the biggest drug trading gang in Mexico. Even in this gang, El Chapo was given the responsibility of logistics and drug shipments. His job was to oversee the drugs coming from Colombia to Mexico. But in 1989, the gang's leader Gallardo was caught by the agencies and the gang broke apart. Taking advantage of the opportunity, El Chapo formed his own gang, which he named the Sinaloa Cartel. Now, drugs were being transported to America through two routes. Most of the drugs came via the Caribbean, and the second route was through the Mexican borders. American agencies had focused all their attention on the Caribbean route, and many drug dealers and gangs had already been caught. El Chapo took advantage of this and started using different channels to smuggle drugs into the USA. He cultivated a variety of drugs, among which methamphetamine, heroin, ecstasy, cocaine, and marijuana brought him the most profit. That's why he focused more on these drugs, but smuggling drugs into the USA was not that easy, and for this, he carried out the work with great cunning. In the beginning, he would smuggle drugs that didn't have a strong smell, like cocaine, by hiding them in fire extinguishers, chili pepper cans, or even inside car rims, methods that even drug-sniffing dogs couldn't detect. But the problem was that apart from cocaine, other drugs couldn't be smuggled using this method. That's why he adopted a method that became his trademark: tunnels. He would invest millions of dollars to hire experts and build underground tunnels equipped with full electricity and ventilation systems. And through these tunnels, he began smuggling drugs into the USA. In 1990, officers from the Federal Bureau of Investigation were astonished when they discovered El Chapo's first tunnel. That tunnel was 300 feet long and had a complete electrical setup. The tunnel opened into a house that used to be El Chapo's safe house, and in case of emergency, he could escape through this tunnel as well. El Chapo knew all the rules of this business, which is why, despite countless efforts, he was never caught. In November 2010, another tunnel was discovered in Otay Mesa, which had similar facilities, but in addition, a rail system was installed underground that was used to remove debris during construction and later to transport drugs. In 2012 in Tijuana, and then again in 2013 in Otay Mesa, more tunnels were discovered. Because of his incredible skill, El Chapo and his gang came to be known as the King of Tunnels. He built his tunnels so deep that even ground-penetrating radar machines couldn't detect them, and he would cleverly hide the tunnel entrances. For example, by building tunnels under a bathroom tub or toilet, he would choose the location with great care before starting construction. He planned to carry out most of the smuggling at the US-Mexico border through the city of Otay Mesa in California. He chose Otay Mesa for three reasons. First, Otay Mesa was close to two major transport hubs, Tijuana and San Diego, and because of these hubs, transporting drugs to the agents was very easy. Second, it was an industrial area with many factories, and the heavy There was a lot of noise from heavy machinery and traffic, which made it easier to dig tunnels here because the sound of excavation would be masked by the noise from the factories. And the third reason is the soil here, because on one side of this city is the sea, which keeps the soil here very soft, making excavation much easier. On the other side, there are mountains that reinforce the soft ground, preventing the tunnels from collapsing. In other words, in every way, this city was ideal for El Chapo's tunnels. On June 9, 1993, Mexican authorities finally caught El Chapo and sentenced him to 20 years in prison, but even this prison became his office. He would bribe the prison staff to obtain every possible facility for himself and would even arrange his business meetings so that his operations could continue. In 2001, the Supreme Court of Mexico made a decision after which the process of prisoner exchange between the United States and Mexico became easier. El Chapo knew that because of drug smuggling in the USA, the US government would do whatever it took to bring him over and imprison him, and then escaping from there would not be easy. That is why El Chapo planned to escape from a Mexican prison for the first time. He bribed the prison guards with $2.5 million and escaped from prison by hiding in a laundry basket. For the next 13 years, he continued to trouble the governments of the USA and Mexico without getting caught, thanks to his tunnels, drug trade, and other crimes. But after 13 years of effort, Mexican agencies discovered his exact location and raided his house. This time too, he had arranged for his escape. He slipped into a secret tunnel under the bathtub in the bathroom, but the authorities did not let him get very far, and finally he was caught once again. Now he was sent to Mexico's most secure prison, the Altiplano Maximum Security Prison, and was placed under special surveillance. But just 1 year later, on July 11, 2015, while he was pacing in his cell, he was last seen near the shower area at 8:50 p.m. In his cell, only the shower area was hidden from the camera's view. After about half an hour, when he was no longer seen on camera, the lockup was opened to inspect the cell. By the time the guards went inside, El Chapo was already gone. He had cleverly enlarged the gutter in the shower area and dug a tunnel that was connected to a larger tunnel below. This tunnel opened up at a nearby construction site 1.5 kilometers away, 33 feet below the ground and 5 feet wide. A width of 7 inches, this tunnel was so large that a person could easily pass through it, but this time his freedom did not last long. On January 8, 2016, in Los Mochis, Mexican Marines once again raided his safe house, and after intense resistance, he was captured yet again. This time, the American government did not want to take any more risks, so in 2017, the Mexican government handed El Chapo over to the USA, where he is now serving his life sentence in Supermax Prison, Colorado. But the truth is, no matter how much security there is, the American government always fears that El Chapo might escape again. We hope you will also like and share this ZemTV video wholeheartedly. Thank you so much for your loving comments. See you in the next amazing video.